Welcome to H2O Croutons.
I'm Alexis.
And I'm Jennifer. Together, we're mother
and daughter co-host. Think Gen Z
meets Gen X, and let the games begin. We're here to add a little crunch to your day with real talk on everything from A to Z.
From pop culture and the latest news to deep dives on topics that you didn't even know you cared about, we've got you covered.
So, grab a drink, get cozy, and let's dive in. This is H2O Croutons. Hey everybody, it's Jennifer. I'm back again with another episode. Are you ready? Today we'll be talking price gouging, gas prices, and freedom with a little side of perspective. So, let's get into it, dive right in, and I'll do my best to keep this under 30 minutes because I'm trying to give you guys what you want. We do try to do that here. I know, we're nice, right? Anyway, before I begin, a lot has happened since my last time where I talked about the whole Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni case. Woo! However, that's a topic that doesn't require 18 episodes, if you know, you know, to cover, so we'll just move on to today's topic. That's how much I love you guys. So, off we go. At any rate, according to Forbes, when it comes to price gouging and inflation, they have an article written on November 14th of last year, and their article tackles price gouging concerns, and we're all feeling it, so it's a pretty hot topic. The attorney generals of 14 different states, including DC, have all written in some support of proposals for a federal prohibition on price gouging. So, are companies actually price gouging? Well, Forbes states that the annualized consumer price index, that is known as the CPI, it increased by 1.5% to over 9%. The CPI has cooled off since, but prices today are 21% higher overall than before the pandemic in 2020. The CPI stands for, again, Consumer Price Index, and it basically measures the average change over time in prices paid by consumers for a market basket of consumer goods and services. Forbes continues to say that economists at the Federal Reserve have studied the trends in profitability and the metrics of it, and for the entire economy over the last several years, and have generally found little evidence. That's right, little evidence for corporate profiteering as the driver of inflation. I admit, I was very surprised to read that. At any rate, they said that there is one industry sector which manufactures a product of critical importance to consumers, where the evidence for price gouging appears much stronger. It is the retail banking industry, and its principal product is consumer credit. They continue to say that JP Morgan operating profit margins expanded significantly during the crucial period. The bank's net profit, the bottom line, the true bottom line, ballooned by 73%. That's right, 73%. And even worse is Bank of America's. Yeah, that margin grew by 85%. It goes on to say in great depth of how this may be price gouging and how JP Morgan and Bank of America caused a $1.1 trillion in excess interest revenue that's getting passed down to you and I. Moving over to Bankrates, a financial publisher and comparison service that was founded in 1976, so they've been around for a while. According to their chief financial analyst, Greg McBride, he states the pressure on household budgets remains intact. In the middle of winter home heating season, if interest rates are going to come down, then inflation needs to come down, and it's not. End quote. All the information that I am about to provide to you is from an article posted on January 15th of this year titled, Inflation Rose Again Last Month. Here are the prices rising most. They go on to say that consumer prices, according to an analysis that they did with information provided from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, shows that consumer prices are 22.5% more expensive today than they were February 2020. Basically, what that means is what you spent $1,000 on before would now cost you $1,225 for the same exact goods and services that you purchased. Now, Bankrate also gave some examples of items that inflation has affected most, and they've been pretty astronomical. Eggs, for example, they've gone up in price by 36%. 36%. That's an 87% increase since February 2020. Yikes. Pet service and motor vehicle insurance has gone up by 11%, which means that's a 52% increase since February 2020. Which is also interesting because the price of motor vehicle repairs has also gone up by 50% since February 2020. And there's postage for 10%, which is really nothing new anymore. And elderly and sick care, 9.5%. College textbooks, as if they weren't expensive enough, 8.9% increase. So, yeah. I need to add that Bankrate does mention that the BLS doesn't always seasonally adjust their rates. And speaking of the BLS, interestingly enough, they said that the things that are, driving inflation most would be gas and fuel prices. But I know that doesn't surprise you all, but what surprised you, as it did me, is that the thing that is driving inflation up is women's outerwear and dresses. Why does that cost more now? I'm really trying to find out the logic there and make sense of that, and I have not been able to yet. They also mentioned frozen fish and seafood. They also said that travel, food, energy, and motor vehicle insurance are the main inflation drivers. The items that have increased the most are eggs, I'm starting to see a pattern here, vehicle insurance, fats, oils, and peanut butter. Get your hands off my peanut butter. Uncooked beef roast. I guess if they cook it, it's not that expensive. Awkward. And delivery services. Shocking. Hi, Amazon, we're looking at you. So, you do have to take into account that gas prices will make quite a few items and services more expensive. For example, food-related companies have to transport our food, and when their prices go up, those prices get transferred to us. They're not going to pay that. So it gets put on to consumers like you and me and Bob down the street. Speaking of gas prices, we're going to take a short break and dive into that topic next. Stick with me. We'll see you in a second. Gas prices. Does anybody else cringe when they hear those words? Gas prices. Yeah. I want to start out by saying, though, that I don't care if it was Trump, Biden, Bush, or his dad, Clinton, Obama, Carter, Nixon, Reagan, Teddy Roosevelt, Harry Truman, Abraham Lincoln. Presidents just don't set gas prices. It would be great if people would start getting a little more equally vocal about the companies and to the companies who refine crude oil into gasoline, OPEC, supply and demand, your local and federal government in regard to the taxes on that fuel, and there's the whole distribution thing. So, who are OPEC? Well, they're basically a cartel who enables the cooperation of leading oil producing and oil dependent countries in order to collectively influence on the entire global oil market and maximize on that profit. It was founded in September 1960, so it's been around for a while. And it was founded in Baghdad by the first 5 countries, which were Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela. We just needed to throw a little Latin America in there. It now has a total of 12 countries, with the Middle East being 67% of those 12 countries, who now control 38% of the world's entire global oil production. Obviously, the U.S. is not part of OPEC. The closest a president is involved is if there are any foreign affairs at play, if something's going on, or if they own stock in said oil companies. That's when you gotta follow the money. Am I right? So, basically, I would like to just plead for everyone to stop letting people misguide you, give you wrong information, because as much as I hate to say it, people lie. They also parrot what they've been told or things that they think they know because they've never actually verified it. Google is your friend. Please use it. At any rate, there is so much misinformation out there, and I see people not only believing it, but they're also repeating it, which is what, quite frankly, scares the hell out of me. People in power, or people who desire that power, love people who can be easily misled, manipulated, or simply uneducated. Both sides. I don't care if it's an R or a D behind their names. Point to whoever you want to, but both sides are equally at blame. Basically, to summarize this part of it is, due diligence at this point is critical, because willful ignorance is something that got us into all the situations and problems that we've had, and we can no longer afford that. So I want to jump back to the foreign affairs mention. Biden, for example, and the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who is also known, by the way, it's M as in Mary, B as in Bravo, S as in Sam. I do not know why, but those two gentlemen were not on good terms. According to an article written by Reuters back in March of 2022, it says, when Biden took office on January 2021, the long-standing strategic partnership between Saudi Arabia, the world's top oil exporter, and Washington they went under some strain over a human rights issue, especially in respect to the Yemen war and the 2018 murder of a Saudi journalist named Jamal. I'm not going to even attempt to try to say his last name. I will fail. Moving on, they quote the Crown Prince as saying, simply, I do not care, when he was asked by The Atlantic whether Biden misunderstood things about him. He said it was up to Biden to, quote, think about the interests of America, end quote. He continues to say, we don't have the right to lecture you in America. The same goes the other way. The Biden administration released a U.S. intelligence report implicating the Crown Prince in the murder of that journalist, which MBS, the prince, denies and has been pressed for the release of political prisoners. The Crown Prince told The Atlantic that he felt his own rights had been violated by the accusations against him in the brutal murder and dismemberment of that journalist. I feel that human rights law wasn't applied to me. Article 11 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights states that any person is innocent until proven guilty, he said. Prince Mohammed, the Saudi ruler widely known again as MBS, suggested in separate but related remarks carried by the Saudi state news agency SPA that it could choose to reduce investments in the United States, and those investments at the time were $800 billion. That's right, $800 billion. That's a lot of bills. Reuters went on to say that while the Crown Prince enjoyed close relations with Biden's predecessor, Donald Trump, Biden has taken a tougher stance with the Gulf Arab powerhouse and has so far chosen only to speak with King Salman, not the prince. In December 2024, Trump announces that he's building a Trump Towers building in, you guessed it, Saudi Arabia. In January 2024, the media over in the Middle East had written an article titled Saudi Crown Prince Congratulates Trump, Talks Middle East Security and Economic Ties, where they said that Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman called U.S. President Donald Trump on Wednesday to congratulate him on his inauguration and discuss key regional issues and investment opportunities, according to the SPA, which is known as the Saudi Press Agency. MBS conveyed warm regards on behalf of King Salman, expressing optimism about President Trump's leadership and its potential to foster progress for the American people. The Saudi prince also said he would be investing $600 billion, that's right, we're back to the bills again, $600 billion to the U.S. $600 billion overnight as soon as Trump takes office. Interesting. Well, Boston University wrote an article November 22nd, 2024, titled POV for Point of View: How Trump's relationships with Saudi Arabia and Elon Musk will shape foreign policy. It's quoted as saying, "Never has a U.S. president's own business interest been so closely tied to a foreign government, Saudi Arabia, and Saudi companies." They go on to also say that never has a U.S. president taken as a key advisor of a business leader named Elon Musk, who was prominent in so many key sectors that it affects the U.S. national security. Such things like big tech, space, electric vehicles, artificial intelligence. You get the gist. Musk also has developed significant international manufacturing interests in China, close relations with Vladimir Putin, and has talked of building a Tesla plant in Mexico. It also makes me very curious how these relationships between these gentlemen has developed over the years, and how it will continue to develop, and how that may affect us in regard to, I don't know, gas prices, national security, jobs. I guess we'll just have to find out over time. I'll be back after a brief pause to leave you with my advice on freedom with a side of perspective. Welcome back. So, my advice on freedom with a side of perspective. Let me explain. I'm an American who has had great-grandfathers of many generations fight in the American Revolution, the Civil War. My fourth great-grandfather, Henry Frizzell, was part of Forlorn Hope that took place during the Battle of Vicksburg, where essentially what it meant was they knew whoever went in first was going to more than likely be killed, and so they were looking for volunteers, and my grandfather raised his hand and said, "I'll go." And he was shot in the head, taken prisoner, and lived to tell about it. He's a remarkable person. I have his entire military record, and I'll just sum it up with saying the man was a beast, and I might do an episode on him one day. We'll see. Anyway, back to the topic. I'm also married to a veteran who takes his oath as seriously today as he did when he was active duty. Since the beginning of our relationship, he has given me perspective that I was, quite frankly, very ignorant to before. Now, let me explain this a little bit. There are things that people are going to do that will make you mad. For example, it made me pretty ticked off to see people burning the U.S. flag. However, as much as I hated it, it is an act that's protected under the First Amendment with freedom of speech. I was humbled when told that I can't get upset about them practicing their freedoms and get mad at others for trying to take mine away. Freedom is for everybody. As a woman, that resonated. So, I've learned to bite my tongue because if there's anything that history has taught me, it's that many servicemen and women took the same oath that my husband did. They died protecting freedom for everyone, for all Americans, Jewish people, Iraqis, Afghans, many, many more. So the next time you're shouting how American you are, try to remember that freedom is for all, just like our Pledge of Allegiance says. Perspective is a humbling thing to feel and see, and the mental evolution that you'll gain is phenomenal. So that wraps up today's episode. Let me know your feedback, anything you'd like to address, any corrections that need to be made. Catch us on our social media accounts. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Discord. We're everywhere. We're also on LinkedIn. We are now syndicated on Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music, Pandora, SiriusXM. Basically, you can find us everywhere. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your support. We all do. Make sure, if you like what you heard, that you leave a like and or a review. Give us your feedback, even if it's negative. Just be cool about it. We'll be cool with you. Thank you so much again. We'll see you next time. Until then, I'm out of here.